Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion. And today, I wanted to talk to you guys about Momoshiki spinning control over Boruto's body and how the last Boruto anime episode might have given us a glimpse into what's in store for Boruto, how Amado comes into play with all of this, and why this is something that the story desperately needs to explore, the option that Momoshiki has teased us with so far. So getting right into it, 6 years ago when Boruto's manga first dropped, once we wrapped up the movie recap, we were given a brand new scene where Momoshiki gave Boruto the karma seal and proceeded to give him the infamous prophecy, foretelling a future where Boruto would lose all that's near and dear to him and that those blue eyes of his would take everything away from him. Fast forward years later, after Momoshiki has told us multiple times that Boruto, the time for him to lose everything isn't quite here yet, he's now begun to repeatedly start gloating to Boruto that the time he's dreaded is now close at hand, and that the anguish that Boruto will feel will be so much worse than Boruto dying at the hands of Kawaki, and that when it happens, he's gonna suffer so badly that he turns over control willingly to Momoshiki. Since we got this information, we as a community, we've all put on our detective hats. We've all wondered, what is it that will make Momoshiki gain possession of Boruto and mentally break him down? What will the future look like? And as I watched Boruto's last anime episode, the situation with Hana Sensei, the academy teacher Himawari, the loose parallel to her situation in Boruto's began to stand out. Whereas Hana created a separate personality to deal with all the murders that she's been forced to commit as an assassin, and when she realizes the truth, it breaks her into pieces. We have the opposite with Boruto. He didn't create a separate personality, but instead he has a whole different soul attached to his own soul in the form of Momoshiki due to the karma seal. Momoshiki's soul was a package deal with Boruto. Momoshiki's DNA has literally overridden most of Boruto's own genetics, and Momoshiki's now made Boruto 100% Otsutsuki in an effort to save him from death, which by extension saves Momoshiki from ceasing to exist. In the anime, we saw Hana, once her id personality began to overpower her and take over control, Hana was shown bound in chains and struggling to stay conscious, which in turn allowed the evil id personality to maintain control over Hana's body. A similar route for Boruto and Momoshiki is something that is desperately needed, and I think there's grounds for the manga adapting this stance as well, and here's the reason why. We've seen with Naruto and Kurama when their relationship wasn't exactly on good footing, that Kurama was kept locked up behind a cage, literally sealed off. When Naruto needed chakra, he visit Kurama and forcibly requests chakra, take it for his own. But we saw as the seal began to weaken, Kurama had moments where he could force Naruto to lose consciousness, and Naruto would give in to the chakra, the nine-tailed fox. As a community, most fans compared Boruto's situation with Momoshiki to being like that as a Jinchuriki with a Biju, which at the time it made a lot of sense due to the lack of information we had back then. However, a good common ground in this scenario would be for Boruto to be chained up, similar to how Hana was chained up, and when he gives in control completely to Momoshiki, the chains choke him into unconsciousness. The symbolism goes back to Boruto's grandmother being one of the few Uzumaki who have the special chakra needed not only be Kurama's Jinchuriki, but also use the adamantium sealing chains of the Uzumaki clan, and it will be something consistent with what we saw in the anime while continuing to make the relationship between Boruto and Momoshiki different from that of Kurama and Naruto from a visual perspective, since we literally see Boruto not locked behind a cage, but trapped inside his own open space inside his mind, chained up and potentially forced to watch what Momoshiki does inside of his body. And this is going to be very important once we transition over to Amado. So the payoff for this conflict in this scenario is almost immediate as well. Think about it. You have the issue of Momoshiki controlling Boruto after we witness some great calamity that mentally breaks down Boruto. You have Momoshiki potentially attacking Boruto's teammates, forcing them to battle against a familiar face, being controlled by a deadly enemy. It pays off the lines where Sasuke asked Sarada, if one day Boruto was no longer in control, could you do what needs to be done? We saw Sasuke struggle to do that very thing when the moment came for him, and Sasuke hasn't known Boruto anywhere near as long as Sarada has. So you'd imagine Sarada would struggle the most out of anyone on that team because she literally grew up with Boruto. Mitsuki would have a conflicted feeling about seriously throwing down with Boruto because while Mitsuki has shown the ability to fight Boruto for appearance's sake, his devotion to Boruto can either give him room to pause in a serious situation, or it will make him be more willing to try to defeat Momoshiki. For Konohamaru, having to raise arms against the son of your role model, that's another heartbreaker of a scenario, because whereas Chef Kashin Koji made those Konohamaru steaks extra crispy, Momoshiki is enough of a savage. He likes his steaks rare. This gives us enough merit in terms of conflict to make Boruto a character who you as a reader begin to sympathize with, because he'd be forced to watch all this chaos he's being responsible for, and it makes the moment where he strengthens his mind and take back possession of Momoshiki and place him in those mental chains feel a lot more earned. Because right now, despite Momoshiki taking Sasuke's Rinnegan, I would venture to say that you don't feel the same level of apprehension with Momoshiki taking control than you did with, say, Kurama taking control of Naruto, Ichigo's inner hollow popping out in Bleach, or even with recent shonen examples with Sukuna taking over Yuji in Jujutsu Kaisen, or the War Devil taking control of Mitaka in Chainsaw Man. The fear of the unknown and the fact that we've seen enough to know that things will get out of hand, and we see characters on edge knowing that no one is truly safe. But that tension makes for good conflict, and it keeps the respective stories from getting stale because of the contrast between the main characters and the possessing spirit. This brings us to Amado, our favorite tech scientist who just happens to know all things Otsutsuki, but conveniently leaves out information so he can maintain his value and maintain his leverage. Right now, we know Amado's knowledge of the Otsutsuki is a lot deeper than he lets on, because every step of the way he's got answers for something that just happened with Karma that was unprecedented, and the knowledge is more than just him taking new information, making educated guesses, because he's been right far too often. And for someone to reverse re-engineer a karma seal onto someone and have it progress further than it did originally in a much shorter period of time, there's more about his information with karma than he's letting on. While he did state that Momoshiki taking over Boruto's body was still going to be a problem, Amado has left out some key information following what happened with Boruto coming back to life. As Shikamaru told us, Amado's obsessed with karma. His reason why for this, we don't know, but the thing about obsession on that level is that when one reaches that point, they're likely to go down a rabbit hole. Say you're like me and you're a huge Star Wars fan. You click on one stupendous wave video that grabs your attention, which leads to you clicking on another video and then another video. It becomes an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Amado and the karma can be viewed the same until we know of his motives for wanting to use Kawaki, but lost in all of this is Amado has said nothing about the Otsutsuki God. Do we really believe that Amado, someone who has worked under Ishiki's vessel Jigen for many years, knows nothing about any of this? He knew every detail about Ishiki's plans. He knew exactly how the karma worked, down to the T, how to kill Jigen, how to force Ishiki to resurrect, and he had enough data to conclude that once this happened, Kawaki would lose to karma, and the man was already putting the seeds planted into Kawaki in advance on how to place the karma back on Kawaki in the event that Ishiki died, and make Kawaki get emotional enough to trigger the karma seal itself. Do we really think that Amado knows nothing about the Otsutsuki God, and that the pieces left on the board are those that are random happenstance? If you think so, let me talk to you for a second. So, a man who has played 6D chess with Ishiki and managed to live to tell the tale has to know more. There's an end game in sight here. Code is an Otsutsuki worshipping nut job who likely would worship the Otsutsuki God if that occurred. Kawaki has Ishiki's karma, and Ishiki so far has been the most troublesome of the Otsutsuki that we've met, and Amado now has control over Kawaki, which means he has control over that power. Boruto has Momoshiki's soul attached to him. Boruto is 100% Otsutsuki and ready to be fed to the Ten Tails. Momoshiki has openly stated that Amado is up to something. Look at what Amado has on the table right now. He has a potential servant in Code, he has a slave in Kawaki, and he has a sacrifice in Boruto. Is the idea of Amado falling down that same rabbit hole of somebody like Victor who wanted to possess the chakra fruit for himself? Is it really that crazy? Is the idea of a man being fascinated with the science behind God actually that crazy? Amado is a scientist at heart. and mankind for the longest has dangerously tried to play with God. That's a common theme that you see in literature, and right now Amado has pieces in play depending on how he maneuvers everything forward, and Boruto giving control to Momoshiki might be the excuse he needs to secure the sacrifice that he needs for the chakra fruit, which we do know humans can eat since Ishiki confirmed it when he gave Code his orders. That being said, what are you guys' thoughts on this? While you think that over, click here to watch my Chainsaw Man chapter 106 review, or click here for this Naruto Explained video.